Hey guys, D.Bowie here, and this is 8k Luna versus 4k Luna. Ult usage. Using Luna's ult is something that a lot of people struggle with. The skill can be as deadly as it can be disappointing. This is something a lot of 4k players struggle, not necessarily hitting good Luna ults, but consistency in doing it. Yeah, it feels like a decent one here against Timber, but pay attention to it. Timber got hit by it once. The Spectre illusion as well as the creep tanked a lot of the damage. The fact that he was close to level 12 should also be a good reason not to ult. Look at the other ones. I actually like that he bought a dust to deal with Invoker, but in this clip he sees Ogre getting an Invis run and he goes for a very low chance play. You have 8 beams, 6 units, there's no way that's enough damage to get a fast kill. He bangs his head against the wall, obviously he can get the kill, this is a support Ogre, but he feeds right away. Terrible play. Madara lands some pretty good ults. He spots the bear while Pudge spots X, and that region is a great one to use ult. No creeps, meaning huge amounts of damage to enemies. One of the past fights also has Eclipse wrecking people in that same spot. Look how Madara used the path carved by your spirit to do a lot of damage. Fighting and farming at the same time. This is probably one of the hardest things to get really good at when you're playing carry. It's very hard to transition from fighting to pushing mode to farming mode again. Sometimes you feel lost, you start farming somewhere and just freezes since you don't know where to farm next. In this game, the 4k player actually couldn't farm after fights because he died a lot in the mid game. I'm going to expand on why I blame his item build for it, but first, look at his CS compared to his team. Pretty decent, right? Top CS, and then you just start listening to those comments, well, why can't I carry these retards, I have top CS and all that? Well, the first reason is that he could be way higher than that if he survived fights. And well, I said we're going to talk about it, but let's keep going. Madara, on the other hand, smokes with his team to spot Radiant's Roche attempt. He gets 2 kills, but he keeps getting as much CS as he can. Some people just YOLO too hard, or they never leave the jungle when their team needs them. While I commend the 4k player for being active in fights, he did die a little bit too much and unnecessarily sometimes. After farming Sand King, Madara immediately goes to the jungle since it's 17 minutes in, and as soon as he notices that the enemy team is back, he rotates to Roshan again. Look at the 4k player decision making though. They take the tier 1 bottom tower, he TPs to his shrine, goes back to the large camp, remembers that the ancient exists, makes a pretty big turn to go to the medium camp, then he goes back to send his mana illusions when he could have done it after farming ancients. He doesn't micro his illusions while he walks towards the small camp, meaning they do pretty much 0 damage. This is just one of many examples of overall not so crispy fighting and farming decisions in the mid game. Itemization. I disagree with a lot of the item decisions that the 4k player made in this game. I already talked about lack of Helm of the Dominator, but pay attention to this clip. He is in a team fight against Necro and ends up dying. For starters, the right play, knowing he had this very low HP build, would be not trying to fight at that particular time. Instead, he ends up feeding, partly due to lack of Dragonlance. The item would give him extra 230 HP. To be honest, I have no idea why he decided to go Manta first. There are situations when having the Dispel early can be very important, like against Sven, Lifestealer, Earth Spirit, but in this case there's nothing that justifies the lack of Dragonlance. In fact, he never goes for the item. To be honest, I have to praise the 4k slightly. He understands the weaknesses of his build and goes for stuff like Clarities and Salves to deal with the lack of HP regen. In fact, I feel like one of the reasons he farmed so slow was the lack of Helm of the Dominator. There's another important aspect about Dragonlance that some people forget about. It's an early and very valuable power spike. Maybe if he had Dragonlance in that fight against Ogre, he survives, since he's attacking from far away and has more damage and HP. In this clip, Madara is fighting against a lot of Radiant heroes close to their tier 2 top. Pay attention how Dragonlance on top of Strength Threads allows him to get a double kill, Purge Earth Spirit ult, and ultimately survive that engagement. Even in that game, where there are way more valuable things to purge, TA's low Earth Spirit silence and ult, he built a lot of early items to have a smoother power curve. All in all, at 27 minutes, the 4k Luna died twice as much as the 8k, even though the 4k Luna's team was way ahead. That's the opposite of Madara's game. They were actually behind in kills and every Radiant hero has more net worth than his dire counterpart. Madara goes for a very unexpected item, Aghanim Scepter. At first you can be feeling like I'm going to give Madara like a 0 score, but listen to me. The item is a very situational item, and I feel like this is the perfect game for it. Pay attention to the enemy draft. If Madara goes too greedy with his item build, like Butterfly after Aftermanta, X will make Luna kill herself, or Winter will kill Madara's entire team with a well-placed ult. BKB is pretty much useless against X and Winter Wyvern, and Root breaks BKB as well. X-Scepter gives Luna more tankiness, less right-click DPS, which ironically is good this game, while having the chance to snipe people that PURGE dismembers from far away. An overall unique item that has some interesting uses. In this clip where Dazzle gets killed after TA blinks dip, look how Madara uses the ult in that zone, blocking the Radiant heroes to come in and help. A very unique use of the item, even though nothing comes out of it. In this other clip, Luna gets initiated by the Blink Axe, and you can see how much HP she loses. If instead of Axe he had a BKB or Eagle Horn, his percentage HP would be much lower and maybe he would have died. As the fight progresses, we see him even surviving because of the tankiness. As they push the tier 2 bottom, we can see Wyvern trying to use Madara's huge net worth to kill one of his own, but the Egg's pickup helps in that regard since he doesn't right click for so much. The 4K team gets Aegis, and as they are hovering around the mid area, they get a pickoff. Great, right? Let's push the tier 3. The problem, in my opinion, is how he doesn't respect the enemy team at all, and more importantly, how he throws his Aegis away for a one-range barracks. Yeah, if you need to use your Aegis to get a melee barracks, I can understand it, but in that case, with a Necro respawning, and with the melee barracks already dead, there's no reason for him to give away his life for nothing. Yeah, Necro goes for a retarded ult, but even then, he stays there after taking the range barracks for no reason at all. He could have been farming, sending his BKB to him, a lot of different things. Guess what? He ends up dying again. I mean, he tries to fix what he did, go straight to the bottom lane, but without Aegis, it's harder to push. He can't even finish the shrine, and this is something we oftentimes overlook. The momentum of taking one lane of barracks and keeping Aegis to siege again can make or break a game. And it does here, because Luna's team actually loses. Without being able to propel his team to take the bottom lane, they all feed to a Radiant gank, and the game is all downhill from here. When the 8k Luna goes for the high ground push, since they got a ton of kills on the Radiant heroes, TA is the hero that's going to take a long time to respawn. Look how Madara positions himself for the push. He doesn't keep hitting non-stop like the 4k Luna did. Yeah, the 4k Luna had Aegis, but remember what that mentality brought to him. And yeah, even playing careful, the combination of the X buyback on top of Lone Druid's root ends up killing Madara. As he goes for another push forcing Wyvern's buyback, pay attention how aware Madara is of PURGE's positioning, and then he fucks his hook since he didn't save Madara in the last fight. Crispy 8k bad manner. Now that Luna has Butterfly and is so strong, they really need to be aware of the positioning, and let's praise Dire's team for leaving Luna alone there. Wyvern is forced to use the most underwhelming ult in the history of 7k pubs, and they easily take barracks. And look how they disengage after forcing buybacks and taking barracks. No retarded fights, easy game. Well, this wraps up for today. If you enjoyed this video, please guys give it a thumbs up. If you want to see the extended version of this video, please check the link in the description. Pugna is a platform where you can learn from people like Chessie, Fog, Monib and get better at the game. They have great content on the new patch, and if you want to raise your MMR, this is a great time. Just figure out the patch faster than others and